Welcome to Carry the Mat, where we pursue meaning in life, legacy, and leadership. Join us as we seek to learn some of life's most difficult yet valuable hard-earned lessons from men and women who have experienced obstacles and victories firsthand, striving to serve one another based on our unique, God-given abilities, not interested in merely talking about it, but determined to be about it. If that sounds like you, then let's carry the mat together. Every man dies, but not every man truly lives. Now to your hosts, Ben Brandenburg and Daniel Moss. This is Carry the Mat.
All right, guys, back for another week of Carry the Mat. We're here talking with Russ and Shelley Tanner. Russ and Shelley are a great power couple in Oconee County and are really involved in a lot of things. And Shelley's going to talk a little bit about their nonprofit. And Shelley, we're just glad to have you on. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you just go ahead and give us a little rundown on your family and just, how y'all got in Watkinsville, all the different just details of what life looks like for y'all right now.
So Russ and I have been here. I mean, really, we never left once we started college, other than a brief little stint outside in Indianapolis. But I moved here as a freshman at UGA in 2000. He actually came a year behind me. And we've now been married. June will be 18 years, so really long time. We're both UGA grads. My degree is in health promotions. I graduated in 2004. And then a little bit after that, went to nursing school at Emory and then started having a family. We've got 4 kids. Carly is 13. She just finished 8th grade. Rhett is 11. He just finished 5th grade. Maddox is also 11 right now. He just finished 4th grade, and Major is 4. So we're here in outside of Watkinsville now, and love it here. It's great.
Y'all are busy, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I know your cousin, Mallory Stuckey. Yeah. So that's how I know you, kind of through her. How are y'all cousins?
Our dads are brothers. So
okay, got it. Yeah.
We grew up in Hartwell, and I grew up in Dexter. So, we saw each other at all the family events, all the holidays. Usually they would come down to visit our grandparents because our grandparents lived in the same town that I grew up in.
The Dexter metro area. What's bigger, Dexter or Wrightsville?
Wrightsville, for sure. Wrightsville's big. I usually just say Dublin because nobody knows Dexter, but really, I didn't grow up in Dublin, so I can't claim that. That's where everything we did.
I don't know what that's.
Nobody does.
That's great. Yeah, I hear you. Well, it's great to have you, and sounds like y'all got a lot going on with the family. But why don't we just jump right in? I had a chance to go to a fundraising event for y'all, Hope 139 House. I know you're going to get into the details of that. Just if you will, just pretend like our listeners have no clue what that is. Kind of walk us through what it is that you guys are involved with. And kind of where that organization is right now.
So the short version is that Hope 139 House is a women's home. Our current version will be 12 cottages for women plus a community center. It's in Athens in Clark County. It's on Freeman Drive. It's right down the road from DFAX on the north end of downtown. On 17 acres that was donated to us by a very generous builder in town who happened to own the perfect property. That was really the only property in Athens that Clark County told us that we could even put our vision on. So he just happened to be in the right place at the right time and hear that, and he decided to give it to us. So that's like a very short version. What it is the cottage parts will be for women in crisis situations. They can already have children, or they can be pregnant, or they can be both. They'll come and live in there, and the goal is for them to maintain custody of their children the entire time. So we will help them with the things that they need to do, whether it's finish their education or learn how to manage their finances, parenting classes, Bible study, training, job skills. It'll be individualized programs for each mom based on their specific needs and the needs of their kids. So we have previously used a rental house in Oconee County while we were waiting to find property before this was given to us. So we used a rental house here to house mom and her kids. And so we used a rental house in Erie County while we were housing mom previously before this land was donated to us. And we learned a lot through that process and kind of changed some of the things we wanted to do and refined our goals and our vision and refined our site plan. So when all that kind of happened during COVID, which put us behind schedule where we wanted to be, but it was really the Lord's timing, because while we were using that rental house to house moms, he taught us so much. And during that time is when we were gifted this land, and it really set us up for knowing better of what we needed to put on that property. Otherwise, we would have built something that was wrong, wasn't what would benefit the moms the most and what would utilize the space best. And also during that time, some regulations were changed. Governor Kemp changed some things and made it easier to start maternity homes. So now we're at a spot where we are building on that property. We have gone through the first round. Phase 1 of our site work has been complete. We had to apply for some new permits. So now we're working on phase 2 of site work and fundraising in the meantime.
That's awesome. What brought this idea on to bring something like this to the Athens, Watkinsville area? Because I know that there are different types of organizations throughout the country that do things like that. Maybe not necessarily mothers, but rehabilitation centers, and just trying to help provide resources. Like, how'd that end up in your lap, and that being something that you decided to hang your hat on and push?
So that's a long answer. So it started. There's really so many things in our lives that, you know, how when you look back over your life and you're like, okay, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this, and it all seemed separate and like they didn't relate at all. And then all of a sudden one day you're like, oh, this is how it all related. And this is why. That's kind of how this story is for this calling of what I felt like the Lord was telling me to do. It's like all these different parts of my life that didn't seem like they had anything to do with each other, all of a sudden all converged and they're all together. So I'd say it started even with in college. One of my roommates and closest friends, her parents began the adoption process while we were in college, we walked through that with them. They had kids in college and one kid finishing up high school, and they went to China and adopted 2 babies and brought them back home and started over. So going through that process with them started something in our own life, and Russ and I ultimately did that. So our third, Maddox, we adopted. We didn't intend when we started to go through China. We thought it would be domestic, but the Lord made it clear to us that China was the path for us. So our third, we adopted from China. And in that, it's a lot of hard adoption. We fully believe adoption is a beautiful picture of Christ in the church, and it's a calling. It is very hard because it's a product of a broken world. Moms and children aren't meant to be separated. I found out after I started all this, or started off doing all this, that part of the regulations was you had to be an RN to run these homes according to the state. And then I took a mission trip to Kupendwa Ministries in Uganda. I took a group of women there. It's a maternity home in Uganda. And it was life-changing, truly life-changing. And at the time, I didn't realize that it was going to lead to anything other than just being supportive of their organization, which we had been for years. But getting to see it in action, to see what they did and how they helped the moms and the babies there was truly remarkable, and set everything up for being at a Chosen for Life conference, which is another organization in town, and they were talking about foster care And during this whole time, from the time we adopted Maddox to the time I got back from Uganda, I kept feeling like there was something missing that the Lord was calling me to do, but I didn't know what it was. And we were seeing counselors and therapists kind of help us through the struggles we were having with Maddox. And I thought it was fostering, and she's like, "No, it's not. It's not fostering. You can't do that with what's going on in your family right now. That's not what he needs, and that's not what it is." So I was frustrated about it, but just kept praying for, "God, what is it? I'm missing something." Before I was chosen for Life Conference a couple of years ago, and the speaker was talking about how he and his wife bring mom in crisis situation into their home, and they live with them, and they help them meet their needs so that they can then be successful living out on their own and maintain custody of their kids and have a big successful relationship with them. So a different version of Kupindwa to help moms here in Athens, provide them housing and training and education and support. And so he made it very clear, and I finally felt peace. Like that is the missing piece. So I started researching and seeing what was here in town, and there's a lot of organizations who do a lot of amazing things that we can partner with. Nobody had the housing piece, and that's a big need here in town. So after I met with a lot of people and began working on it, the Lord just kept doing things to confirm to keep pressing on. And so we've kept pressing on. It's been in his time and not ours. And even things like the land being donated and being so much more property than we ever thought possible, we're able to put a community center on it, which is, for me, that's something I did back in college. I worked at a community center in New Orleans, which was also a very impactful time in my life. So even that part is being tied together now because we're able to put a community center on this property along with the 12 cottages so that everyone around, they may not qualify for housing, or it might be a dad that we're not housing men, we're only housing women. So the dads can still use the community center and be connected to resources that they need, or kids who need support but their parents may not qualify for housing, they can still come to the community center and we can help them in different needs by using that as well. The long version, and I'm sure I still left a lot out of how it came to be.
That's really in depth and good. How did y'all get the name?
So Hope 139 House came from hope is because we want the women to have hope that they can change and that they can have a future. And we believe that hope comes from the Lord. So, there's not real heart change without him. It's very hard to do that. So the 139 part comes from the promises that he gives us in Psalms 139, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and he has a plan and a purpose for every person's life from the time they're conceived to the time they die. So it just tied together everything, hope, and then 139 is Psalms 139.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's special.
That's really great what y'all are doing. Obviously the name of this podcast is Carry the Mat, and that comes from the gospel when the guys are carrying their friend to Jesus and can't get in the room, so they lower him down through the roof, and Jesus is moved by their faith. And we have another episode with Jared Wallace, a Paralympian, and Jared kind of talked about some details in his life of how he's been both on the mat and also carrying the mat. Talk a little bit about, I guess, just that mission of caring and caring for others that maybe are running through a patch in their lives where they can't do that themselves, and how you're kind of using that same mentality, that carry the mat mentality, and how that resonates with y'all.
Yeah, I love that. I love the title, and I love that story in the Bible, and I do feel like that's exactly what this is. We take for granted that we have the support and the help that we need. We take for granted we can pick up the phone and call someone to help us do something. But a lot of the women that we've encountered, they don't have that. You don't get into the situation that they're in if you have that easily accessible to you. So that is truly what this has been for women that we've worked with in the past, and what we desire for it to be when we open up the doors to the new place is a way that they can say, hey, I need this and this and this, and I need these supports, and us to say, we've got you. Because that is what the Lord has to do. It doesn't say just to say, okay, you shouldn't do this because this is wrong, and leave them hanging. We are to step in and offer that help and that support. And so that is what our goal is, whether it's connecting them to the Athens Pregnancy Center, or whether it's here's all the supplies we could possibly need for this year, or let's talk to Athens Tech and let's get you in the school program right now so that you can have a job to support it. But hearing them, and it's not just us helping the women that we come in contact with, but also through people who support the ministry. Um, it takes the village to do something like this. So I definitely don't feel like it's my project and my calling. It's the calling that God is giving our community, and I have felt that through people showing up to our event, supporting us through prayers, through finances, through property, or donating things to women that we need to give, just supplies and things that they need. I have felt that. So it's a cycle of people are supporting us as we're starting it and as we're running it, and as it gets hard sometimes, especially in this part, the part of fundraising and building, when what we can do with women is limited because we don't have the housing part of them. We're not using the rental house right while we're building and using. So that part is hard, but feeling people carrying and carrying the whole organization to the Lord through many different ways, so that then we can do the same for the women who are needing things. A beautiful picture to me of how the Lord works.
No doubt. Maybe I'm sure you've had this experience at some point with what y'all are doing. Maybe you could talk a little bit about it, but what's it feel like for y'all at Hope 139 when you have somebody that comes back to you after they've been supported and rehabilitated and back on their feet, and they're functioning at a high level, and things are going the right way for them, a large part and due to the support y'all provided. How does that resonate inside the walls of Hope 139 for y'all? I mean, it's got to be overwhelming.
Well, one thing I will say that I got some advice early on from a similar place in a different city is not to expect them to come back, and not to expect that, because sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So I will say the last mom that we housed, talking with her, it's kind of like parenting. Sometimes you just keep taking the next right step, and you do the next right thing, and you trust that the Lord will bring the outcome about in the time that He has planned for it. It's very hard to change lifestyle cycles in a year and a half to 2 years. So you really have to look at it with this perspective of, we are going to do what the Lord calls us to do, whether we see the results we want or not, or whether the results look different than what we thought they would be, because He doesn't say to do it to get these results. He says to do it. And so if you get to see the success, and you get to see the change, and you get to see the positive forevermore, then praise the Lord for that. And sometimes it might look like we've done everything we can do, and it's now time to roll out, and we're gonna keep checking in with you and see how things are going. Sometimes it might look like we might not hear from you again for a long time. So it looks different for every person. And the biggest thing is just to remember that we do what God asked us to do, and we walk in obedience, and we trust that He knows when and if the outcome that we think is successful is there or not. But it might look like success differently in every single person's life.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the definition of faith, right? Like, yeah, faith is, full steam ahead, no matter what. Like, yeah, you don't know what the end's going to be, but you have to have that faith, and that sounds like y'all really operate off of that core principle, and that's pretty cool.
What's your relationship like with Allie Beth Stuckey? I know that's another family member of yours, but how helpful has she been in this process, and I guess vocal has she been on kind of putting a megaphone to what you guys are putting into action?
Yeah, I mean, if you follow Allie Beth, my sister-in-law, you would know that she's very pro-life, and she's very supportive of pregnancy resource centers and of us. She came and spoke at our banquet. They support us financially, and I know that anytime I need anything, I know that she could put it out there, and I know her followers would respond greatly. Actually, the last time I was putting out requests for some things a mom needed, she asked me if I wanted her to make an Amazon list and like post and share some stuff, and I had to turn her down because I was scared I would get inundated with things. Because I said, let me see what I can get locally, and then we'll go there. So because I was a little worried I might get too much stuff. So I'm very grateful for the support that they have, and for her stance and her voice in much larger places than I would ever have a voice in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that too, and also being a girl dad, just thankful for females like y'all that are changing the game, that are really stepped up in the community, and I'm thankful to have you on and shed a little light on that. And thanks for what you're doing, and we're excited to just partner with you. And with that, from a community standpoint, we'll be sure to try to be the hands and feet and be a part of whatever we can. And real quickly, I guess, if you had a little PSA about how somebody, if this crosses the ears of someone who's out there, how would they go about getting in touch with y'all? Or if they know somebody that's kind of in need, what would be the ways? Maybe they want to do it discreetly. Maybe they want to put the resources in front of somebody. What would be your recommendation on ways to do that?
You can go to hope139house.org. That's our website, and you can subscribe to our newsletter to get updates there. I don't send them out, weekly or anything, so you won't have too many emails. It'll be just the right amount. You can contact us through there. You can donate through there. You can look at the site plans and the maps through the map of the property through there, just to kind of see what it's going to look like and see where we're at now. We're on social media at Instagram at Hope139house, and also Facebook. Or they could email me at hope139house@gmail.com. And yeah, that's pretty much all the ways to get connected with us, and we can get the details sorted out from there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on, Shelley. We'll be sure to get that information out. And yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
It's awesome that y'all are doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate y'all talking to me.
All right, so we're super pumped and blessed to have Russ Tanner join us. He and his wife Shelley got on the podcast with us today. Russ is from Wrightsville, Georgia. Home of Herschel Walker, and he played football at Johnson County High School. And Russ, what does it take for a lineman to get their jersey retired in high school?
You definitely have to have several $100 bills, and you got to know who to pay. Man, it was it was crazy. I just was the product of a great environment. My high school coach Bill Bonds was a great man, and he made me a bet that if I could, or not a bet, a deal that if I could make All American in high school, that he would retire my jersey. So I had to find some like obscure magazine. It wasn't even on the web anywhere back then. It's like, Coach, honorable mention, All American. So he felt like he needed to honor that. So you know, it was it's cool to have my name mentioned with Herschel because he and I had slightly different careers. But yeah, I'm very, very proud to be from Wrightsville, Georgia.
That's awesome.
I guess Lauren Smith is the other Wrightsville
Yeah.
native. How much were you aware of that connection growing up?
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously know Lauren. I didn't know him as much growing up because he was in Athens and we were still in Wrightsville. But once I was up here to be able to have a conversation with Lauren about a lot of the mutual places that we both grew up in, a lot of the same people we knew, and have a little bit of connection to the fabric of Georgia football history with a guy like Lauren Smith is it's a pretty cool. It really is. Lauren's the man.
Yeah, talk about a historian that's seen it. That generation, the greatest generation, often referred to as the greatest generation. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So we were talking to your wife from Dexter. Being small town Georgia, what's it like? I mean, do you go back to Wrightsville much? And I mean, what's it like? What high school do y'all support here in town? And Friday Night Lights, where are you on Fridays?
Yeah. So we don't get back down to Wrightsville as much as I would like. My family's still there. My parents are there. My nana is still there. A lot of cousins, aunts, and uncles, and love it when we do get the opportunity. But with multiple kids who are involved in a lot of different things, and just the community we're in now, it's hard to have time to get back down as much as I would like. As far as where we're supporting our kids go to Oconee County, our daughter Carla will be cheering for Oconee County Warriors next year. But we're not diehard anywhere, man. Like some of our best friends in the world go to North Oconee. They've got kids who play up there, so we pull for them. We've got friends at Prince who go around. So if my loyalties are determined a lot more by people than it is jerseys. So if I know you and you go there and we're boys, I'm gonna support your team. Unless you're Florida Gator, then I'm not supporting
I
that.
completely agree. Yeah, I heard that. It is interesting. I do appreciate the school spirit in Oconee because my daughter goes to Rocky Branch with my wife, who's a first grade teacher.
Yeah.
And we live on the blue side, but they obviously go over to the red side, and it's like Abby's got not a chance, man. They're like doing Tighten Up Tuesday and Red Out Friday, and because Rocky Branch feeds into North.
Yeah.
But it seems like every elementary school is in one particular high school, and I think that's where the good school spirit. So I do appreciate that, and we'll see where she ends up in high school and what situation. They'll probably re-rack everything at that point anyway once they build something out. So talk us through coming out as a prospect, high school prospect. I mean, Coach Rick is fresh on the job and being recruited by Coach Don and staff. To walk us through that era.
Yeah, so it was interesting because I wasn't a huge Georgia fan growing up necessarily. I was a college football fan. I loved watching it. We only got like 3 channels on our antenna in Wrightsville, so it wasn't like it is now where kids can watch any team ever. So whoever's playing on Jefferson Pilot, that's typically who we would see. So I was just a big college football fan, and I was being recruited by Coach Don, and Phil Jones was my position coach, and love those guys. Coach Don is a personal friend. I actually spoke to him recently. Great guy. But his time at Georgia was coming to an end, and by the time my senior year rolled around, after my senior season of football, Coach Dunn and his staff got let go, and I wasn't sure what Georgia was going to look like. I was really close. When I say this next part, my wife gets really angry, so let me make sure she's not. But I almost signed with Florida. I was really that close to committing, and hard to say, but it's the truth. So when Coach Rick, what'd you say?
I said gross.
That's bad.
Gross.
So when Coach Rick got hired, he came. I remember him coming to the house and meeting with me and my folks, and just hearing him present his vision for the program, the type of guys he wanted to recruit, the type of team he wanted to build, the type of character he wanted to instill, the idea that it was going to be about more than just football. It was more than about being in front of 92,000 screaming fans in red and black every Saturday. It was going to be about on and off the field. Like that really resonated for me. Resonated for my parents probably even more so. So the feeling was exactly right once you met with Coach Rick. It didn't take very long for me to decide, yeah, man, that's the dude that I want to play for.
Was Spurrier the coach at Florida
He
still
was.
when you were being recruited?
Yeah, he was for sure.
That's a
So
pretty uh to ignore being recruited back. I mean, he's
yes,
everybody's got their own opinion of Spurrier, but man, he is a goat. He's good.
yeah, he was a trip too. Man, I liked Spurrier when he was being recruited. He was a guy that his players loved him and all that. So it was fun.
Yeah, I think the appreciation for him is grown. I think in any college football fan when you're not playing against him every year. I think he just was getting the best of Georgia during those days, and it was easy to hate. But yeah, you got to respect him and what he brought to college football. Really,
Yeah,
he
no
really
doubt.
changed the game on offense. But
Yeah, you played under Rick, and we know Rick's a heck of a coach. Can come off to the public as quieter, soft spoken. So, who was the guy on staff that would really lay the hammer down when guys started chirping in spring and summer practices and things got heated?
Well, Coach Rick gets a different rap. People thinking that he was, passive just to his quiet. He wasn't. Coach Rick is a very fiery, very competitive guy, but he was able to kind of be the general of the team and kind of stay a little bit away and watch from the outside in. But he had on offense, it was Coach Callaway, and then on defense, he had Van Gorder, his two coordinators on both sides. And man, like they were the law on both sides of the ball. As far as keeping things calm down and not chippy, that wasn't them. I think they encouraged fighting more than more than anybody else. Coach Rick made a rule one year there was no fighting. If you had to fight, you had 4 gassers at the practice if you got in a fight. And Coach Callaway ended up telling us, like, I don't care what they said. He says 4 gassers. If one of them gets in a fight and your fat butts don't get in there, you're going to have 8 gassers from me. Well, what are you going to do? So we had to fight. Even Coach Rick said no. So, you had those guys that really pushed the envelope with everybody all the time, making sure that the throttle was wide open as far as the competitive spirit of practice. And, you had a little chip on your shoulder all the time. You better if you want to be good anyways.
Yeah.
what's it like being close to the program now and going back and seeing guys and seeing Coach Smart? And what's they ever ask you to come in and eval any O linemen or anything? I guess you probably have a relationship with Coach Searles, and what's that like now?
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Searles. I wouldn't say we have a relationship, but I know him. He came in after I was there. I had Coach Callaway all 5 of my years. But yeah, Coach Smart is really awesome to the letterman, which is cool. And it's cool to know Kirby because he was the running backs coach my senior year. So I was a 5th year senior, and he was the running backs coach, and he was a young coach. So it was more like we weren't like buddies, but he was closer to being a friend than he was a coach, just because of he was a young coach for running back. I was a 5th year offensive lineman. So I got to know him some from that. And he really welcomes Letterman back now, which is awesome. So to be able to be back over there, the cool feeling for me, and it sounds a little cheesy, I guess, but it's kind of like that old analogy about there's just been blocks being, bricks being laid forever, kind of the foundation of it. And I feel like I was a very small part of the foundation of Georgia football that got us back to where we're at now. And it's not just me, like any guy who was fortunate to be in the position that I was in to play for University of Georgia and to be able to strap that helmet on, put the red and black on, run around, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium, you're part of a brotherhood that can't be taken away. So to see kind of the culmination of what we want this program to become, what we wanted this program to be the reality of where we're at now, back-to-back national champions, top of the program, recruiting at a level you didn't even imagine was possible. It's special, man. It's really cool. And I tell my kids are spoiled. They're like, I said something about playing Florida. We don't lose to Florida. I was like, what is your problem? Florida is a huge rival. They used to beat us all the time. You can't like Florida, and they don't. But they don't know Georgia losing. So it tells you a little bit about what type of program these guys have built now. Because man, we're at the top of the mountain, and we're going to be there for a long time. So
No, I definitely feel that y'all laid the groundwork, and I see that Coach Rick era and how that bridged the gap to the Coach Moore era. And even those guys, think about in 2017, to me, that class that decided to stay, Nick, Sony, Roquan, Lorenzo, those guys that chose to stay were really, they had just as many fingerprints on those natties as the guys that were holding trophies. So we definitely appreciate those eras. And obviously that was, my freshman year was DJ's championship year when DJ was starting. So it was just so good to see. So I mean, that was a fun offense to watch, and yeah, I definitely you can't celebrate Georgia history without talking about the groundwork that you guys laid. Definitely see that.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Well,
transition
I
a little
appreciate
bit.
it.
Georgia, yeah, yeah, absolutely. We could talk Georgia all day, but let's transition a little bit about what you're up to in Watkinsville now. I mean, I know you're a mortgage broker by day, but also you like to grill a little smoke a little barbecue. Tell us about your venture in that space.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been doing mortgages for about 17 years, and it's the day job. Love it. Pays the bills, provides for the family, and is a cool space to be in. But as you find kind of hobbies that you do outside of work, over the last few years, I mean, this is no secret, but I mean, I like to eat. You can tell, and growing up in Middle Georgia, having smoked meat was something that was a regular part of life. So as I've kind of learned more and more about what it really means to have barbecue, just kind of I love the community of barbecue. Don't get me wrong, I love the food. I love, smoked pork butt. Love cooking whole hogs. We cook briskets and ribs and sausage. I love all that stuff. But I love kind of the brotherhood, the fellowship that comes along with that, and just being able to bring people from all walks of life together in a way that is not pretentious, doesn't have pressure on it, and you can just have conversations. You got a dude. I met a dude who was grilling ribs on the side of the road at the gas station, and he came out to my barn one night we were cooking and hung out with a guy who was a wealthy landowner from Gwinnett County. Like they don't know each other, but they sit around the table, they break bread, they eat brisket, they have ribs together, and you realize you have so much more in common with people than you realize. And barbecue is an avenue for doing that. So now with that, we've become kind of nerds with what type of smoker we use, the type of wood we use, our process of trying to make it elite with what we do. So yeah, my cousin and I, Matt, and a bunch of buddies that cook with us, started a brand we call Tanner Hill Barbecue. The place we grew up, they call it Tanner Hill. I know you're like, where's Tanner Hill come from? We're a bunch of Tanners, and we live on one hill outside of Wrightsville, so it's called Tanner Hill. And we cook. We do not a ton. We do 4 or 5 pop-ups a year for different events around town. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We love doing it.
What's your favorite barbecue joint in the state of Georgia?
Oh man, that's a great question. I don't go to as many barbecue restaurants as you would probably think, which is the crazy thing. I mean, the ones that are you got a couple of different things, right? You got things like Fox's Brothers and Southern Soul, which are newer, which are critically acclaimed, if you will, and those are great. They serve awesome food. But then you got places like Zeb's, Fresh Air. Hot Thomas was down here. Holcomb's down in Greensboro and White Plains. So you got all these old school places that have been cooking the same food for the same way for 50, 75, 100 years. So I don't have a spot that I just love in the state of Georgia. And I don't think there's one way of doing barbecue. If you're passionate about cooking meat the right way with the right people around and trying to make people happy with what you put on their plate, I'm going to sit down and enjoy your food, and it's going to be good. So, I go all over, man. I'm an equal opportunity barbecue destroyer.
Have you had a chance? Have you ever had Sconyers barbecue down in Augusta?
I have not.
Sconyers starting the rest. Oh man, next time you're in Augusta, if you're down there for a golf tournament, they have a golf tournament once a year down there. But if you're down there, go to Sconyers. I usually tell my folks that haven't been there not to order the large plate, but I think you can probably handle it.
We can make room for the large plate, man. Like, you don't worry over there. Just cause Ben doesn't look like he's big enough to handle the large plate. I promise you, I can.
I heard that. Being on growing up, we both grew up in around Augusta, and Carolina's got a lot of barbecue cook-offs and the whole deal. I mean, there's definitely a culture over there of taking it very seriously, as there is in certain parts of Georgia. I'd have to say another place to add to your list is Purvis Barbecue in Louisville, Georgia. And I mean, you're always judging the sauces, but down there they've got one that's it's kind of more vinegar based, but it's got some heat on it.
I like
it's just
that.
the right amount of heat. It's not too, and it's got some a little bit of tang to it, and it's real good. and that's a good one to add to your list as well if you're ever in Louisville.
I love that. I will go there for sure.
Yeah.
I love eating at those places. And people love to say, "Oh man, barbecue's regionalized." Like, no, it's not. It's regionalized because you grew up going to a restaurant that did things a certain way, and that's the taste you like, which is great. But you can cook a variety of barbecue with whatever sauce you want wherever you live. And again, if you take the time to be good at it, you dedicate to learning and becoming a student of the smoker, you can make great stuff. If you just go out and try to figure out a way to microwave some brisket, it ain't gonna be no good and nobody's gonna eat it. So you go to a place like Sconiers that makes their own sauce and you eat that and it's awesome. You go to a place, like whatever, Sprayberries over by Noonan, they've got a different thing too, like all over the place, man. There's people that care about their craft of barbecue. And I just love learning about it. I love talking about it, love learning about it, love being around guys who do it and who have way more of a pedigree than I ever could dream of having. So yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'm follow you. I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I recently, relatively recently, you post these little pop up videos of when you're trying barbecue out. Maybe you and the family are on the road. I saw you post one. I think you were maybe coming out of Buc-ee's with a brisket sandwich, and you were just like, "It's overrated." I was like, "Thank you."
It's gas station barbecue. Again, if you rate it on the gas station scale, it's really high. If you rate it on the regular barbecue scale, it's all right. It ain't bad. I eat it if I'm hungry. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, we started doing barbecue reviews last summer. We'll do them again this summer. Just as we travel and go different places, head to the beach or go somewhere. We stop and eat barbecue and do little reviews that are fun at different places. So yeah, we'll get back on that soon.
Are y'all gonna have a bricks and mortar spot at Wire Park, or y'all just do the pop up stuff out there?
Yeah, just pop up, step up stuff, man. I love my buddy Duke has got Wire Park popping development in Watkinsville. It's a lot of fun. Actually ate lunch there today. But no, we can't put it in barbecue. I found this out about barbecue. It's a lot of fun as a hobby, but when you turn it into something that becomes a business, there's a whole lot of hours and not a lot of dollars. And as I evaluate my life, something that takes a whole lot of hours and brings back very little dollars is not something I want to invest huge amounts of time in every day. So, I like a lot more just doing it back at my barn in the backyard. So, yeah.
I hear you. It's probably cool. Cooking for church and different gatherings you can have out there, and I heard y'all just had a men's retreat out there with Coach, and talk a little bit about your church and how y'all are involved as a family, and Watkinsville Baptist, right?
Yeah, Watkinsville First Baptist. We've been there for we started when we first got married. I know. Glad Shelley's not sitting with me right this second. We got married in 2005. So this will be 18 years. So we've been going to Watkinsville for about 18 years. I started going there as part of a newlywed class. A guy named Scott Shepard, who was on staff for Athletes in Action back in the day on campus, started that class. And still some of our closest friends in the world today still go to Watkinsville with us there. And it's been great, man. It's been a place where our marriage has grown. We've welcomed 4 kids in our family while we've been members there. Shed a lot of tears, had a lot of laughs, all the stereotypical stuff you say about a great church, but we love it, man. It's a place. Carlos Sibley is our pastor, and he always says that it's all about life and trying to make wholehearted followers of Christ. And man, just to be able to kind of plug into that, I feel very fortunate. Much like my time at Georgia, get around good people who have the right values, the right morals, and who are trying to help you keep your track going straight. It goes a long way in life. Because man, we are not made to go through this life alone, man. It's called carry the mat. This podcast, right? Like, no dude can carry his own mat. You got to have somebody else to help with that. If you try to do anything by yourself, your chances of success go way down. So Watkinsville for us has been a community where we've really been able to grow as a couple, as a family, our personal lives, our spiritual lives. We love it. We love everything about our local church.
I'm glad you brought that up. Talk a little bit about being, I guess, from your vantage point with Hope 139 and what we talked to Shelley about that, but talk a little bit about what that's like from your role and serving with that.
Yeah, well, first, man, I'm super proud of my wife. For her to have the courage to step out and to do a hard thing, We talk about doing hard things sometimes and how nobody desires that. Nobody desires hard times. But when you do it often, man, there's just such a reward that comes from that. So to watch my wife be faithful, to be obedient, and to be bold enough to actually hear the vision or kind of see the vision, hear it, and say, I'm going to move forward with it, even in the face of obstacles, has been a huge encouragement for me. So I'm super proud of her. We laugh in our family, like whenever we pray, like the Lord doesn't speak to me, he only speaks to Shelley. So I'll say, babe, I was praying about this the other day and the Lord said this. She's like, I don't think you heard that right. Let me talk to him. So, she told me for a while how she just felt the Lord was leading us to this calling. And, man, when we started digging into the need behind some of these young moms who are in crisis situations, need somewhere to, to live, a place to raise their kids, a chance to break the cycle that they're in life, and ultimately to be able to hear about Jesus. I mean, what greater calling do we have? So just to be able to tag along, to support her, to help Hope 139 with whatever's needed is it's a lifetime calling that hopefully there's gonna be crowns in heaven for it one day. So we're just trying to be obedient to what the Lord says, and I'm really thankful for my wife and her heart, and just glad to ride her coattails on it.
Yeah,
Y'all are definitely making a great impact in
Yeah.
and around Athens and Watkinsville. So hats off.
Yeah, y'all just got a lot of range, and it seems like y'all are just the type of people that are serving wherever you kind of feel called, and I guess just a good thing for the community, and your church, and what y'all doing with nonprofit, and just your own personal family. Y'all are a good witness to us and our families. We're just grateful to learn from you, take some notes, and we're excited to put our listeners on some of that goodness that y'all are doing, and I appreciate it. And you're humble as they come, and you got some funny stories, and we look forward. Maybe we can have you on another time, talk some more barbecue, and let you just talk, because it's hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
we really appreciate it. And I just,
well, anytime, man. I'm appreciative of it. A lot of respect for you guys. From what I know about you, the type of man you are, and your willingness to get on here and do hard things, man. I mean, this podcast aren't easy. We've had some technical things trying to mess up today, but you guys keep pushing, asking good questions, and I'm grateful for that. So, anytime you guys have a spot that nobody can talk, you just call me. Like, I'll make up something. We can laugh. We'll have a good time. So, y'all are good dudes.
You're a freaking natural at it, man. I look forward to every single week on 960 on my drive to work when you get on there with Dave.
Calls in. Yeah, he calls in.
I call in, and I'm a nerd, but you kill it.
It's
dude.
all good.
You're fun to listen to.
Well, thank you very much. It's a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, again, man, I just know people that are really nice to me for some reason. I appreciate the opportunity. So
yeah.
Well, thank you, Russ, man.
Thanks,
Russ. And please tell Shelley thanks again from us. We really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you guys, man. God bless and go Dogs.
What's up, y'all? This is Daniel with Carry the Mat podcast. Really appreciate y'all joining in this week, and we hope y'all enjoyed our conversation with Shelley and Russ Tanner. Y'all be sure to continue to like and follow our podcast on our Instagram account, YouTube, Spotify podcast, and Apple Podcast.